A gracious day, once again, to one and all, 'tis I, Norton the First, by grace of God, Emperor of the United States, and Protector of Mexico, back at you with episode 31 of Emperor Norton's fantastic history vlog. Today is the 29th of April, 2020. And we'll start off with a couple of San Francisco items, as we always do. It was on this date in 1857 that the Pacific Division headquarters of the U.S. Army was formed at the Presidio in San Francisco. It was on this date in 1932 that the first broadcast of One Man's Family, which was set in the Seacliff neighborhood of San Francisco, premiered on our local radio station KGO, as well as Seattle and Los Angeles. It would go on to become the longest running dramatic serial on U.S. radio, ending in 1959 with 3,256 episodes. On to other items now. In 1769, Scottish engineer James Watt's patent for a steam engine was issued. In 1852, on this day, the first edition of Peter Roget's Thesaurus was published, or advertised, announced, broadcast, circulated, divulged, issued, presented, printed, proclaimed, promulgated, pronounced, released, reported, ventilated, or voiced. It was in 1967 on this day that Aretha Franklin's single R-E-S-P-E-C-T was first issued and become the Billboard Song of the Year for that year. On this day in 1968, the musical Hair opened at the Biltmore Theater in New York City and ran for 1,750 performances. 1975, today was the fall of Saigon. The U.S. began to evacuate its citizens, and Charles McMahon and Darwin Judge were the last two United States servicemen killed in Vietnam during the Vietnam War on this day in 1975. It was on this day in 1990 that wrecking cranes began tearing down the Berlin Wall at the Brandenburg Gate. This date in 1992, jury acquits LA police officers of the beating of Rodney King, which began those terrible riots that lasted for many days. 1996, Rent opened at the Nederlander Theater in New York City and closed after 525,600 minutes. In 2018, the animated series The Simpsons surpasses Gunsmoke's 635 episode count, the highest episode count on any series in TV, and it's still going. Let's move on to birthdays. We'll start with a very significant San Francisco one. Adolph Sutro, the builder of the famous tunnel, the builder of the, depending upon how you count, the second, we'll say, Cliff House, owner of that, a lot of the western side of the city. San Francisco mayor for 2 years, very important figure in our city's history. Another San Franciscan, he wasn't originally from San Francisco, Adolph Sutro, but a person born in San Francisco, newspaper mogul, William Randolph Hearst, this day in 1863. 1899, let's take the A train and hear Duke Ellington. It's his birthday today. 1901, Emperor Hirohito, the 124th Emperor of Japan. Hats off to all emperors. 1917, Celeste Holm was born. She was starred in the movie, co-starred in All About Eve, some of which was shot at the, I believe, Curran Theater. Correct me if I'm wrong. Could be the Geary, but I believe it is the Curran on Geary Street. Speaking of the Curran Theater, William Ball, founder of the American Conservatory Theater, next door at the Geary Theater. He was born on this day in 1931. Poet Rod McEwen, 1934, as well as Willie Nelson, who's probably on the road again, I would imagine. Zubin Mehta, famous conductor, this day in 1936. Hit it, Zubin! Klaus Vormann, the musician and the artist behind the Beatles record cover for Revolver, born this day in 1938. Also in 1938, a notorious birth, Bernie Madoff. 1954, Jerry Seinfeld. Well, I guess I can't let an opportunity pass to do my really terrible Jerry Seinfeld imitation. Here it goes. Why do they call it Ovaltine? It comes in a round bottle. They should call it Roundtine. I know, it's terrible, but what can I tell you? 1955, actor Kate Mulgrew, of course, Star Trek Voyager, Orange is the New Black. Actor Daniel Day-Lewis, 1957. Eve Plum, who played Jan on The Brady Bunch, 1958. Also 1958, Michelle Pfeiffer, and 1970, Uma Thurman. Deaths. This day in 1864, Abraham Gessner, a Canadian geologist, the inventor of kerosene. Who knew? I didn't. 1980 died this day, Alfred Hitchcock, of course, the famous film director, loved San Francisco, and invented the mimosa here, but that's another story. 1993, famous guitarist, Spiders from Mars, Mick Ronson would also become producer, solo career, teamed with Ian Hunter of Mott the Hoople. American journalist, newspaper columnist Mike Royko died this day in 1997. 2006, economist John Kenneth Galbraith. 2008, Albert Hofmann, Swiss chemist, known as the first to synthesize LSD. Let me know if that worked. And last, actor Bob Hoskins, who you may remember from numerous movies, but probably most from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Well, that wraps it up for today's edition. Thanks for tuning in. We are now on Vimeo. If you want to find us on there, account is Amsterama. That requires a separate explanation as well. Well, until we see you again, stay safe, stay healthy, stay inside. If you go outside, wear a mask. Listen to the scientists and the experts. Be kind to one another. And have a good day. Thank you.